So good morning, everyone. So on behalf of all our youth, I would like to welcome Miss Maria Valerie Vaz and Miss Florida here today with us. So they represent the URGE NGO, which is Anyay Rahit Zindagi, which is based out in Vasco. It's a nodal NGO under Goa Police. Maria Valerie Vaz is the program manager legal, and by profession, she is a lawyer. And we have also with us today Miss Lurida Parado, who's working as a counselor, and she has done a master's in counseling. So I would request now Valerie to start the talk by just briefing out about the NGO, more on the NGO part, and then with the talk. Yeah, over to you, Valerie.
Good morning, all. Myself, Maria Valerie Vaz. I have my colleague with me, Ms. Loretta Parado. So she will be accompanying me at the later point. But first, I would like to introduce my NGO where I work. So our NGO, we work with the victims of human trafficking. And we are working towards combating human trafficking in Goa for past 22 years. And we are based in Vasco, just in this RTO building above Mongenes, first floor. So if you all ever come, you all must have seen the board outside, URS. So that is our NGO where we work. So basically, I will be starting with my presentation. So it's a PPT.
Okay.
Okay. So today we are having a webinar on human trafficking in Goa, CSE. Okay, CSE is commercial sexual exploitation. Okay, so basically what is human trafficking? If you'll see, human traffic is where traffickers use violence, manipulative false promises of well-paying jobs or normative relationship to lure victims into trafficking situations. Okay, so what happens here is a trafficker is there and he, gives false promises, then uses violence, and then gives puts a person into a romantic relationships and gives false promises and just brings that person into his intention, and then he gets the person into trafficking. Okay. So what is human trafficking? Actually, there is a movement of person. Okay, the person moves from one place to another place. So human trafficking is when a person moves from one place to another place. Okay, so from source place to destination place. So if suppose source state is Delhi, from Delhi to Goa. Okay, it's a movement of a person. Okay, it may be through deceit, fraud, false promise, coercion, threat, force, and abduction. These are the methods used by the traffickers to do the human trafficking. Okay, so there is a sale of a person, and the sale is such that the person is exploited. A human being is exploited. Okay. Then we have forms of human trafficking. Okay, there is a domestic work form, and then there is forced labor, bonded labor, organ theft, and then adoption. These are the forms of human trafficking. Okay, you all will ask how domestic work becomes trafficking. Okay, so domestic work becomes trafficking when the employer uses force, fraud, or coercion to maintain control over the worker and to cause the worker that he or she has no other choice but to continue to work. Okay, that is a form of domestic work. Okay, where human trafficking is taking place. So if you all see any domestic worker who is being threatened and all, then you will feel bad, right? So you will feel you want to help that person. So that is a form of trafficking which you are seeing. Okay, then we have forced labor. In forced labor, you will see that a person, he himself goes to another person asking for a job and says that I will do a job, and if you are employed for, suppose you are employed for one job, but he promises you to give that job, but then he doesn't give you the job, but he gives you some other jobs, and he says that you have to work under this, otherwise I'm not giving you your salary, whatever you have worked for so many days. Okay, so this thing happens, if you all must have heard, when someone goes to Dubai, he will say that I was told to work for some other company, and the company was offering me such and such thing. But then they asked me to work in a low position. Okay, then he was forced because he was not given his passport and all that. So that is coming under forced labor. Okay, then we have third, that is bonded labor. Okay, bonded labor is when a person is asked to give in as a slave for a security against a loan. Okay, so this we had been seeing for many years, like in past, like in 90s also. They had, from 90s, if you see, you have heard in your history and all that slavery used to go, bonded labor used to go. So that is also a form of human trafficking. Then there is adoption. Adoption is when these traffickers, they traffic a child and then they give it for adoption. Okay, that's illegal. That is a kind of human trafficking. Then we have organ theft. Organ theft is when a person's, he's forcibly removed his organ. His organ is forcibly removed from a person's body. That is organ theft. Okay, that is also a form of human trafficking, which we all know that is happening around us. Then we will come to, sex trafficking. What is actually sex trafficking? Which is happening in Goa and all over India and all over world. If you go to see, it is very ancient. If you see, okay, so it is a recruitment, transportation, transfer, or harboring of a receipt of a person who under threat, force, or fraud indulging in sexual activity for money, where a person is brought, okay, recruited just for giving a false promise saying that you will be given a job, but then the person is asked to do this kind of job where it's a sexual activity is involved. Is it fine,
Yes,
Atish?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I hope you all are understanding what I'm trying to communicate.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay. Am I too fast?
It's good, I guess. Yeah. It's good.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Then we have this human trafficking provisions. Okay. Under legal provisions, we have IPC, we have Goa Children's Act, we have ITPA, that is Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. Then we have Child Marriage Act, child labor, then kidnapping. Okay. All these acts are there, which helps, in legal, in defining law, what is, suppose what is forced labor, what is adoption, and how, we can have, like, the person can be booked under so and so sections. Okay, these are the sections. IPC is one of the things. Then ITPA, Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, where this sexual exploitation is taking place. Most of the cases go under ITPA. Then Child Marriage Act 2006, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, which you all will be aware. Then child labor, then kidnapping, then Goa Children's Act. Okay, so we have POCSO also, that is Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. Okay, and then we have Goa Children's Act, which is the only act that defines child trafficking in India. Okay, then I will go to this concept clarity about sex trafficking, what is actually sex trafficking, and then I will be discussing what is the scenario in Goa and how role of a civil society can be played. Okay, sorry. Then what is sex trafficking? Okay, sex trafficking is also said to be as a prostitution. Okay, what a person is doing is prostitution. So you all must be have heard about this word prostitution. So can anyone just tell me what comes to your mind when you say prostitution? Okay, something bad comes, right? When you just hear the word prostitution, first thing in the mind will come like bad thing. Okay, prostitution is bad thing. So it is also an oldest profession. If we go back to the history, we'll see it's oldest profession. Okay, then we'll say that it has lots of money. Okay, why a woman does it? Because it has lots of money. Then they term it as easy money. Okay, some will say that the woman is forced to do it because of poverty, because she doesn't have any money, or she can't look after the family because she is poor. Okay, and then we have people saying unable to control the sexual urge. Okay, then these are the words which come when we say like sex trafficking or prostitution. Okay, So if you go to see a person, why does a person come into this commercial sexual exploitation? Okay, firstly, from, as I discussed, from source state to destination state, a person moves from one place to another place when trafficking takes place. Okay, so if a girl has been sent to Goa for this commercial sexual exploitation, okay, she won't be directly sent to Goa. You know why? Because in Goa, a person can freely move, a person will be helped if asked for help. Okay? And there are many things which are in favor of a victim if a victim comes for help. So the girl is never sent to Goa first. The girl is first exploited in the source state. Okay, that is in, suppose it's Delhi. If a girl is coming from Delhi, then the girl will be exploited in Delhi itself at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, and then later on she will be sent to Mumbai, and then from Mumbai, once the trafficker feel that she has come to this as a profession, she has come to a level where her mental state is that she can't go out or she can't quit this, quit from this field. Okay, that is when they send the girl to Goa, because in Goa she's at a different state of mind where she says it's okay, whatever happened with me, she adapts herself. Okay, so we'll just go through this journey of a victim. Okay, first is the resistance stage. So in this stage, what happens, a girl is sent for, she's sold. Okay, a girl is promised to give a job, and then she's a minor, mostly she's a minor. So at the age of 12, 13, she's told, like, fake, this marriage promises made, love affairs happen, and the boy, he goes and sells the girl. It's not only the boy, so, even a woman does that, and we have many cases where it has come. So what happens here is the male or the female takes confidence of the girl and says that you need a job. Okay, I'll give you a job in Calcutta, so and so place. Okay, and then the girl goes when she is at the age of 12, 13, 14, where she has no, she's very innocent. She's taken there and she's sold in a market. Okay, she's sold in a market of sex trafficking. Okay, then that is the time when she resists herself. She says, no, I won't be doing this. Okay, but it's such a place that she can't leave. Okay, so she says no, no, no to it, but then she's forced to be into that thing, and she's, tortured. She's inflicted with pain, so much pain that she herself, like, she doesn't eat food. Then, there are many instances where there are, people are caged. Okay, she's asked to be in one room. She's not given proper electricity, no proper food, no proper water, no proper shelter. Such pathetic conditions where she's kept, and at that time also she resists herself. Okay, and then while resisting herself, she's going through a lot of psychological thing also. Okay, that also comes into it. And then she says, like, okay, now this is the thing, fine, I am ready to do. That is when she goes to adaptation stage, where she tells herself, okay, let me come out of this situation where I'm tortured. Okay, so she goes to a next step, that where she adapts herself. She says, okay, nobody is helping me out here, I can't help myself. Okay, so she's adapting herself to that environment. She's adapting to what the trafficker is saying. Okay, so once she adapts, she is into the line, but she wants someone's help. Okay, she wants someone's help. If someone offers her help, she may say, okay, I'm leaving this thing and I'm coming out of it. That is the adaptation stage. Then she goes to the third stage, that is acceptance stage. Okay, at acceptance stage, she says, like, I was so innocent that I was being sold. I was sold by someone, and then I went through torture. After the torture, I am into this stage where, like, I have no other option but to accept what has happened with me. This is my fate. Okay, here she accepts herself. So in this three stages, you will see that the girl is going through a lot of things. Okay, a girl, a woman, or any other person, okay, goes through a lot of stage. Okay, so from resistance she goes to adaptation, from adaptation she goes to acceptance. Okay, so in resistance stage, mostly this stage is in Calcutta, Delhi, in a source state. Okay, where she's exploited. And then in Goa she's sent only when she's at the acceptance stage. Mostly 99%, like 95 or 98% of the stage in Goa we found is when the girl has accepted herself to be into this profession. Okay, she says, okay, it's okay, whatever I'm doing, it's fine, this is my fate. Okay. Then we have victim trafficker. What a trafficker does is he buys and then he sells. Okay. So if you have seen in a market, if you go to a market, you go to a market only to buy something. Okay. Market is a place where you go to buy something because there is someone selling it. Okay, selling a thing. Here a girl is there in the market. Okay, there are buyers and there are sellers. Okay, seller is the trafficker who gets the girl to sell, to be sold in the market. Okay, so what the buyer does, buyer says, I'll give you money. Seller says, okay, I'll give you the product, you pay me so and so money. Okay, so the girl is into the market. She's sold. Okay, she's sold to another person. Suppose the girl is told you'll get 1000 for work done for 1 hour. Okay, and then the trafficker tells the buyer, the girl will be with you for 1 hour, but you have to give me 10,000. So the buyer says, okay, fine, I'll give you 10,000, and the girl is given 1,000. So the product over here is a girl who is sold in the market. Okay, so the buyer buys her for 10,000, and the buyer buys the girl for 10,000, and the seller is getting 10,000, but out of that he's giving the girl only 1,000, and the rest 9,000 goes to him. Is this clear?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So impact on, next slide is on impact on victim. Okay, how it impacts a victim. It impacts her physically, psychologically, financially, and socially. Okay, so the victim goes through so many things that physically also she's exploited. Okay, psychologically also she goes through trauma, so many other things. Then financially also she's in need of money, and then social is where a person, can't face the world like a normal, how a person will face. Lurida, will you like to add on the slide?
So when we talk, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we talk about a victim and her psycho and her own mind, you have already heard how she goes through the 3 stages. First is the resistance stage where she tries her best. What happens is here she has some hope, but in the next stage she's slowly giving up. So there's a lot of trauma that is taking place. Her self-esteem keeps on depleting. There is attacks on her own self-worth. At the same time, she has to go through so much physical, emotional, psychological, and social threats and trauma. If you look at a person and you know that that person is into prostitution, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh my God, that is cheap. And there is no help, there is no social, there is no friendship or any kind of emotional support that they get. So you can imagine the state of a person who is going through so much. There's no help at all. And they themselves, they आपणाचे इतून चित्ताय, त्यांक दिसता की, त्यांक आपण एक गोष्ट दिसता. And they are getting something, they're not getting any kind of happiness out of it. There is nothing that they themselves are getting for themselves. Somebody is earning because of their trauma is making somebody else fill their pockets. So you can imagine being constantly used like this, and that the impact of this trauma on the person is so much that even years of therapy is not enough to get over it. Even if the person is brought out of that state, mentally they are like, I've already to use Kala, Mak value na. So it's like, no matter how much the professionals even try, they have completely accepted the fact that they are a commodity. And getting that person to finally come back into the normal scenario, the normal society, it is very difficult. And we have to work very hard with these kind of victims. So the impact is not just physical. They are going through constant rape. They are they they say yes to it because of the money, because somebody else is getting profit out of it. They willingly are not ready to have sex. So physical, they're going through rape, they're going through trauma. At the same time, they are not even getting the financial, whatever money they are getting, not even, they are given a small amount of it. So they are not even making proper profit. And the society, before this session, your take on prostitution would be the same as anybody else's. You would look at a prostitute and be like, you would be like, she's a home wrecker, she is a whore, you use different words. So you can imagine that that person is going through so much. At the same time, there is no psychological, there is no social support that is offered. So that is the impact it has on the victim.
Okay, Lurita. I hope the impact on victim, the slide has been reached out to you all the way we want it to be. Like as a victim, how we have to see a victim. That is the most important thing what we want to communicate to you all. So the different stages she goes through, and then the physical, psychological, financial and social, impact on the victim. So we'll move to the next slide, which is situation of human trafficking in Goa. So it has developed as a market of flesh trade, and it's a major destination state. Okay, so you all know that Goa is famous for tourism, and for tourism we have international tourists, domestic tourists who just come in. Okay, and we are happy about it that because of tourists, Goa is having a tourism, and it's a major boom to our country, to our state. Okay, but somewhere we have to see that because of tourism we have something like this coming here, okay, where a girl has been brought to Goa for sale. Okay, she's been sold in the market. And who are the buyers? The buyers are from Goa itself. Okay, the buyers are from other states. Okay, who come as tourists. Okay, international tourists. Okay, they are the buyers here. And we have, during lockdown, we saw there were many rescues which happened, and ours was also a part of rescue. Okay, and we have seen that during lockdown last 2020, after March, we had many cases where a girl was sold here in Goa. Okay, and we were very surprised to see, like when the borders were still packed, okay, and it was so strict, still there were rescues happening in Goa. And who were the buyers here? The buyers were from Goa themselves, the Goans. Okay, we always say like the others, it's not from Goa, they are outsiders who come. But during lockdown, we saw that most of the buyers were Goans. Okay, so next is like this is what is actually the real scenario of Goa, what is happening. And since we from ours, we work with the protective home, state protective home in Mauritius. We know like how a victim is brought to Goa, what she's told, why she's told, and why she stays in Goa for so many days. Okay, without the family support, without anything, she stays here, and then she's rescued, and then she's kept at protective home for inquiry, for 21 days inquiry, and then she's been rehabilitated to some other place, or she's released in custody of her parents and all that after due inquiry. Okay, so that is the thing which is happening in Goa. Then we'll see a new trend which is happening all over Goa, that is online, and they are faceless. Okay, so what is happening is there are websites, okay, which are advertising girls online. Okay, there are escort services which is a website where you'll have to just contact the person over there with the contact number, like I need a girl, and then the girl will be provided to you. Okay, here you don't see the trafficker. Okay, when Baina red light area was working, was on, it got demolished in 2004. So before that, there was a market in Baina where people used to go to buy a commodity. That is the girl. There you could see the real traffickers, okay, the pimps. You could see them. You could literally see them like physically. Here online, now it's online, so you don't see the person who is selling. Okay, you are just given a contact number over there. Then you have to contact the person. Then the person will see whether you are a genuine customer or you are a police decoy. Because most of the time there are police decoy. They have the fear of police decoy. Okay, girls being rescued and then. Okay, so that is the thing. So now trend is such that it has gone online. It is faceless and it's very difficult to trace the trafficker. Okay, so number of girls rescued, Indians are 84%, foreigners is 16%. Okay, so we have foreign countries, girls coming from foreign countries, that is Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, Nepal, Russia, Thailand, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan and Turkey. So these are the countries from where girls are being sold, okay, or girls are being brought in India and then exploited in Delhi, Maharashtra, Calcutta and then sold in Goa. Okay, once they are into the acceptance stage, they are sold in Goa. Okay, prior to this, we had many cases of Northeast, that is in India, I'm talking about Northeast, where girls from Assam, Nagaland were being brought, for sale in Goa. But then after many sessions, after informing the state, what the state is supposed to do, after conducting awareness session, how girls are being trafficked in Goa, the demand, we don't see much of the girls coming from Northeast India. Okay, so if you go to see the statistics, Maharashtra is one of the state from which most of the rescues are taking place in Goa. Okay, so these are the girls who are coming from Maharashtra. They may be native of Maharashtra or actually, just residing in Maharashtra. Okay, then we have Delhi. Then we have West Bengal, and then we have Delhi. Okay, so these are the states which are high. Okay, we get most of the girls from Delhi, Maharashtra and West Bengal. Okay, and in Goa you will see only 7%. It's easy for me to say only 7%, but we have to realize the fact that 7% of the Goan populations are being sold in the market for prostitution. Okay, for commercial sexual exploitation. This is the real scenario which is happening. Okay, so we had 24, we had girls coming from 24 states when we had done, a survey, a statistic report was made where we found that girls from 24 states were trafficked in Goa from 2014 to 2019. Sorry. So what can we do? When we see now, you all have heard about this trafficking happening in Goa. So what can we do as humans, like as a citizen? Okay. So what we have to do is we have to be alert. Okay. We have to see around our place what is really happening. Okay. We have to be alert. And then we have to report to police if we know that, this is the thing which is going wrong. Okay. If you are not comfortable in reporting to the police, you can always go to the magistrate. Okay. That is the judge, SDM, subdivision magistrate. Okay, you can go to them. Okay, then you have to share knowledge. Okay, on understanding of trafficking. Now that you all have been given this one almost half an hour session, I'm sure that your thinking of trafficking in Goa has been the knowledge has been shared to you all, and I'm sure that this knowledge will help you all in understanding what is trafficking. Okay, and that will be a base level for you all to spread the word. Okay, and stop this happening in Goa or any other place. Okay, so I hope I was clear enough in making you all understand, communicating to you all what is the real scenario in Goa on human trafficking. Okay, so now Lurida will be taking over, my colleague. Okay, she will just do a revision with you all. Okay, Lurida, over to you.
So I have sent the link in the chat box. So you all can go and click on the link and you will get a Google form. So whatever we have shared here, whatever Valerie has spoken, we have put on some questions. So you all have to it's a multiple choice question, so it's very easy. You all just have to click on the answer that you think is correct. So there are hardly 2-3 questions and it won't take much time. So I want all of the participants to please go and take this revision so that we also know how much you all have understood. Okay, so it's not difficult at all. So you all can start. Just click on the link and share your responses. I'll read out the questions. So the first thing is your age. Then you have to enter your gender. The third question is, a 22-year-old girl is brought to Goa to work in a beauty parlor. And at the parlor, she is made to do sexual activity for money. Is this human trafficking? The options are yes, no, and don't know. So you just have to choose the option that you think is the correct one. The fourth question is, a 20-year-old woman travels to Bangalore with his friend in search of a job. In Bangalore, she gets a job and she joins work. Is this human trafficking? Options are yes, no, and don't know. The fifth question is, a hotel owner allows his hotel to be used by girls to bring clients for sexual services. The hotel owner charges 100 rupees from the girl for each client that she gets. Is the hotel owner committing any offense? The options are yes, no, and don't know. And the last is, as a youth, what would you do to stop human trafficking in Goa?
Miss Lurida, do you mind if I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead, ask.
Okay, so I was wondering, since Miss Valerie has spoken about 7% of the population in Goa being, under human trafficking, uh, can you disclose the places from where this, human trafficking takes place in Goa? The places.
Okay, Valerie, actually disclosing the places, it's just not, I won't just say it's from Panjim or it's from Kankon, okay? So if you go to see, these are like the village places, okay? The remote areas from where the girls are coming, okay?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
I have another question. Oh, sorry.
Now suppose a woman who is trafficked is found to be pregnant. What are the facilities that are offered to her, and how can we help her to either bring up the child or to put that child out for adoption or something like that, legal adoption?
So if your question is if a girl is pregnant because she was into this commercial sexual exploitation and she doesn't want a baby or she wants a baby.
Either, like, what are the services that your NGO provides to these people so that they can look after the baby?
Okay, so basically when she's in the shelter home, okay, so we work with the shelter home, okay, it's not that we are the nodal NGO appointed by Goa Police, but we work with the Goa State Protective Home, okay, so it's not us, but it is State Protective Home who gives these services, okay. So if suppose a girl is there in protective home and she is pregnant and she wants to keep the child or she doesn't want to keep the child, okay, and if she keeps the child, she's like, what if I'm alone here and I don't want to keep the child, okay, it's if the state allows her to abort the child, then the state will pay for the expenses, okay. So she will be taken from Goa State Protective Home to GMC, okay, to do the abortion, okay. And if she says no, I want to keep the child but I want to stay here only and give birth to the child, and once the child is born, okay, I want to give it in adoption, the same thing, whatever she says will be done for her through the state, okay. So the state pays for the expenses, medical expenses, stay expenses, okay, accommodation, food, everything. If the woman says that she wants to give the child for adoption, then the same can be done, okay. So she has to go, okay, the state will look after each and everything what she wants. Yes, Anna, is the answer clear?
Yes, thank you.
So Lurida, how many responses have we received by now?
Valeria just added you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Valeria just added more to your response. Hi, I'm Juliana. I work along with Valerie and Lurida at ours. Okay, I'll just add on to Valerie's response. Okay, to the question raised by Anna yeah. Okay, to the question raised by Anna with regard to women and their children, right? Anna, you raised a very good question. Okay, with regard to the women who are in commercial sexual exploitation and the children being given for adoption. What, as Valerie has explained, a lot of the state mechanisms that is there. But we at ours, what we believe in, if the child requires, whatever is required for the child is in the best interest of the child, okay? And we work towards ensuring that how the mother and the child's bond is built up. So we ensure that mothers, they do take care of their child, they do take up the responsibility of their child. And in case there is any neglect and abuse, then we bring it to the attention of the CWC immediately. So that is once post their post the services provided by the state. So what ours does is ensuring that the mother and child's relationship is built, because we have seen in our experiences how this helps the child and also the woman to take up alternative. So that, because see, no woman wants to put a child back into prostitution, right? So here when we find is that the child is in her care and that child is in her care and responsibility, we find that the woman's exit from commercial sexual exploitation is much more. But at the same time, we ensure that there is no neglect and abuse of the child. If such things happen, we bring it to the attention of the state through the CWC, that's the Child Welfare Committee. Okay, thank you, Valerie.
Any more questions? You all are free to ask.
Lurida and Valerie, there is a question. Do you all want me to address this question which is in the chat?
Yes. Ma'am, are you there?
Okay, Rochelle, right? If I've pronounced your name correctly. Your question is with regard to the three stages. And, yeah. Can you hear Lurida? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Rochelle. So when you talk about the three stages, okay, we look at it as resistance is when the victim somewhere she doesn't want. It's the initial stage where somebody has sold her, somebody has ditched her, boyfriend has left her, so left her with the agents. Okay, somebody has brought her in the name of marriage. At that point of time is when she wants to come out. And if she's provided services, like if suppose the police goes and rescues, or you see that a member in the civil society comes to know about it and they, with the help of the police and the NGO, go and rescues her, we find that she overcomes the trauma and is back into society quite easily. When it comes to adaptation, that is the second stage, whereby what happens is she somewhere starts feeling is that my life is spoiled. Now, if I come out, will the society accept me or no? And if I stay here, I have to be a part of this sex market. And at the stage of adaptation, we have seen is that how when the rescue happens, they do question us, saying is, where were you in the first stage? आप क्यों नहीं था जब हमको पहले बार बेचा गया था? Okay. So at the stage of adaptation, it becomes a little bit challenging. But what happens is that if they are provided services and they're not in connection with the members of the sex market, the agents, the traffickers, then we find the recovery from trauma and their reintegrating into the society becomes much easier. And acceptance, as you see, is the last stage. At the stage of acceptance is when she feels that my life is gone. Samaj humko apnaega nahi. Nobody in the society is going to accept me, and she becomes a part of the people in the market, the sex market. So she might be having the agent as a boyfriend, okay? She might be having the room owner, okay, as her friend. So what happens is at the stage of acceptance is there is very less chances for her to come back into the society and reintegrate among all of us, because somewhere what happens is the market, the members in the sex market pulls her in. What we have seen is that we've worked with a number of women who they might have been at the stage of resistance, they were minor, but by the time they reach the stage of acceptance, we have found that it becomes quite challenging, as Lurida was trying to explain, for them to overcome the trauma. But we have seen when we work on all aspects, on the economic aspect, whereby we have given them employment, where they have money, on the social aspect, where members in the society like you and me, we accept her and don't look at her as a prostitute, but look at her as one of us. In the emotional stage, as Lurida was explaining, a lot of therapy, the therapy sessions, like it goes for a very long time, okay? And sometimes emotionally they do get relapses, like they will have this thing, nightmares, okay? Someone telling them something, they get into depression. Like I recall a case I'd handled whereby this woman, she had recovered a lot, okay? I'm talking both emotionally, psychologically and medically. And her son made a simple statement like, "Tu to randi hai." And we saw that she relapsed emotionally once again. And she went into that stage of where I am worthless. And she got into depression once again. So what I'm trying to say is that your question with regard to is that after the acceptance stage, emotionally, are they coming back? They do have sometimes these ups and downs, but what becomes important is that we need to see how professional services are provided. That's why, as you see, like at ours, we have like Lurida who looks into the counseling, Valerie who looks into the legal part. So like that, when we find professional services are provided to them, their recovery from trauma is much, much faster and easier. Rochelle, was that explanatory enough?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Is it clear? Would you want?
I got it straight. I got it clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Lurida, we'll just go through the responses.
Yeah, Valerie and Lurida, sorry, I can continue.
For now, we only have 5 responses. So,
Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead with the responses.
so the question number 3, a 22-year-old girl is brought to Goa to work in a beauty parlor, and at the parlor she is made to do sexual activity for money. Is it human trafficking? So we got 100% correct answer. The answer is yes, this is human trafficking. So if a girl is brought to Goa and then she is promised one thing, but she is pushed into the forced to do sexual activity, this is human trafficking, and this should definitely be reported. Valerie, want to add on something?
No, I think so. That was clear.
Okay. So the next is a 20-year-old woman travels to Bangalore with his friend in search of a job. In Bangalore, she gets a job and she joins work. So we have 100% correct responses saying no, it is not human trafficking. Even though there is travel, there is movement from one place to another. The person is the person takes up a job and is doing the work. There is no human trafficking going on here because there is no sexual activity that is happening. The next is a hotel owner allows his hotel to be used by girls to bring clients for sexual services. The hotel owner charges 100 rupees from the girl for each client that she gets. The hotel owner is committing any offense. We again have 100% correct responses saying yes. Here the hotel owner is getting something out of the girl who is into prostitution. So he himself is taking a profit, a cut out of her work. So that person is committing an offense. And the last was as youth, what would you do to stop human trafficking? We have a nice responses. First is report. If I see any of these things happening, you should definitely report. Even if you have some doubt, you should make sure that you tell it to somebody, some authority that can look into it. Next is if I encounter any such event of human trafficking, I raise my voice for it and complain to the concerned authority. We alert, spread the message, notify police or magistrate. Very good. Next is contact the police. And last is share the information and create awareness. about human trafficking and how they are led to someone they are not supposed to be. Thank you all for your responses.
Yeah, we at Earth thank you all for your responses and for your questions. We were very happy to answer them, and we hope that whatever we wanted to communicate to the youth have been reached out to you all. And please spread the awareness as much as possible so that there is a stop to human trafficking and we see the victim as a victim and not as we term them as prostitutes and rindi and all these terms which we use. Okay, thank you so much. Atish, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie, and thank you, Lurida, also Juliana. Valerie, yeah, would you like to say something?
On behalf of the Saint Xavier Parish Youth and the Chikalim Youth Farmers Club, I would like to thank Earth Foundation, Earth NGO for having this session with us. Thank you, Ms. Valerie and Ms. Lurida, for giving us an informative session comprising of forms of trafficking, journey of the victim, impact on the victims, then the current scenario in Goa, and our responsibility towards it. It was truly informative and we thank you for taking the webinar with us. And lastly, I would like to thank the youth who are over here. Thank you for joining in. And I hope we are responsible towards these issues which are happening in Goa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.